All right, guys. Hopefully, the internet is not too bad. If it is, then probably just listen to this because there's not much I can do about it. I already restarted the router, and sometimes it's just bad here. Yeah, it looks like it's bad right now. So I apologize for that. So I guess this is just a listen to it sort of thing. Hopefully, it gets better. But as you can see from the title, what does a society without moral men look like? And the easy answer is, well, just look around. Really. That's the easiest answer. But I think what's more important is trying to understand how we got here. That's much more important, in my opinion. And that's why I emphasize history so much, is because when you look back through history in the How to Escape the Matrix video I made, I the main point was learn history. It was not make money. Like most of those videos are, we need to make more money. But I think what's more important is actually understanding how things work. Sorry, I don't know why this camera gets all weird. Understanding how things work and understanding history, at very least, to have a good understanding of the beginning of the 20th century until now, I think is very important. And it was either John Taylor Gatto, I think it was John Taylor Gatto who said that, but it could have been Louis L'Amour. I think it was John Taylor Gatto. But you look back at things, and where things really started to get bad was in 2020. But really, at least, and I'm speaking in terms of America, you can go back, I would say, to the Civil War, and that's where things really started to get bad in America. And that, people love Lincoln because they think that he was such a great guy. But that's because they don't understand history. And they don't understand that he was America's first big tyrant. I mean, there was a time in America like the War of 1812, which was dumb. There's no reason to have that war, but Congress was trying to prove, like, oh, we're a nation, so they wanted to go to war. But he was the first big tyrant. And it was very, very obvious because it was completely constitutional for the states to secede from the Union. But he sent in tens of thousands of troops once more states started to join the Confederacy and leave the Union. He sent tens of thousands of troops to stop them from doing that, which is, yeah, a sign of a tyrant for sure. Also, he didn't free the slaves. Jesus, I can't even remember what it's called. Um, the document that freed the slaves. I don't remember what it's called, but it came out 6 to 8 months after he died. So it wasn't him, but he's this good figure where people love him because, oh, he was living in a log cabin, and then he freed the slaves. He won the Great War and freed the slaves. So that's the first time in America. And then you have World War One, another case with Woodrow Wilson. And then, of course, there's lots of other events, but it's easy to go off of wars because obviously the people who started those wars are doing it for their own gain, always, not for not for the good of the people or the or good in general. It's not for that because I mentioned in that the how to escape the Matrix video, and it makes me laugh every time I say that. But I mentioned in that video how the only reason America got into that war, into World War One, was because the British intercepted this message from Germany that was going to Mexico, asking Mexico to join the Great War and fight America because the Germans apparently thought that America was going to join the war. And then all of a sudden, Woodrow Wilson goes from let's not join this war to we have to join this war. It's our patriotic duty to join this war. And which honestly that's just seems a little too good for the British to intercept a message like that, right? Seems a little too good. And then with the Lusitania, there were only really a couple Americans on there, but again, it's used as like it's our patriotic duty now, just because a couple of Americans got killed, even though they were warned not to go on those ships. Even though a couple Americans got killed, it's our patriotic duty. No, definitely not. And then that got us more. It brought us farther away from being an independent nation to where now we're part of the UN and all these dumb organizations where everyone else profits except for the people who live in the countries, who aren't in power, I mean. And of course, we also had, at the very, very beginning, we had people like Hamilton, who wrote the Federalist Papers and wanted America to become uh, not a alliance of several colonies or states, but under the control of he wanted it to become like this one big nation under control of just a few people. And he also set the stage for uh, central banks in America too, because he had some. He was friends with Washington because Hamilton was a younger man. He had influence over Washington because Washington kind of liked Hamilton. So while Washington was president, Hamilton persuaded him to uh, basically sign some bills saying that there could be like central banks, basically, and the state could print money. So there was that. That was the very beginning of things. But now, more recently in 2020, it's more so, and it's much more obvious to people, where you have schools who are indoctrinating children. And schools have always been indoctrinating children. I mean, I believe, I saw something from someone the other day where they were talking about how school, I don't remember how they pronounced it, but school is actually a Prussian thing because the Prussians noticed that whenever they would send men off to war, that the men would not want to fight. And so they designed school to put children through so that at a very young age they could indoctrinate them into being more comfortable with going into war and being under command of other people. So that's where it came from initially. And of course, there was education before that, but that's where school started. That's where now, if you don't send your kids to school, you're going to go to jail. Uh, so that's nice. But then in America, and I've discussed this many times on the channel, but in America, school was started in Massachusetts in the 1890s. I believe it was the 1890s. And it was all about people trying to control other people and people from the government forcing people's kids to go to school. And the parents would fight back for a little while, but eventually the parents stopped. It took like 20 more years until the parents eventually let their kids go to school, and that's how compulsory schooling started in America. So now you are forced to go to school, whether it's public or private school, or you have to be signed up with a homeschool. Otherwise, you or your parents are gonna go to jail. So that's nice. So there's that. But now, when your kids go to school, or when you go to school, you have LGBTQ flags up, you have BLM flags up, especially during 2020, the summer of 2020. You have, and I experienced this personally, you have yeah, I agree with you, Logan. I completely agree. Absolutely. But I experienced personally in 2020 when I went to a public high school for a month, maybe a month and a half, where the first couple days, it's all in school about introducing kids to the teachers, and it's pointless. But the teachers had their pronouns in their Zoom bios. They talked about pronouns and LGBTQ stuff. The one teacher, the English teacher, and the principal were wearing BLM shirts while they were on their Zoom calls. There was some other BLM stuff and a few other things I don't remember, but I have pictures of everything. I just need to find them all. But now you get that, and from a very young age, all your kids learn about is things that literally don't mean anything. And now it's not just that they're not learning things that won't help them in the future. It's that they're learning things that point them in a certain direction, which is definitely not the direction we want to go. So there's that, which I think another sign of a society without moral men is that when your kids are being indoctrinated, or other people's kids are being indoctrinated, even your neighbor's kids are being indoctrinated, and it's very obvious. It's a sign of a society without moral men for people to do nothing. And there are videos of parents going to like parent teacher meetings or school conferences, I forget what they're called, and bringing up like these pornographic books that they have in school libraries now, or sometimes that are taught in the curriculum. But that's like base level stuff to do that. And every parent should know the curriculum. And I when I went to that school, it was in Denver, Colorado, and I tried getting the curriculum. So I filed a Freedom of Information Act request to get the curriculum for uh, Denver public schools, and they were stalling for a long time, a very long time. They were like, "Well, we'll give you the curriculum study guide," and I said, "No, I want the full curriculum." Then when I finally heard back from them, they said that the curriculum was owned by a private company, and therefore a Freedom of Information Act request uh, actually can't work for a private company, which obviously. But so yeah, the stuff your kids are learning is behind a curtain that you can't see. I should have asked what company it was though. I wish I did. So that's nice, but people don't know about that because they don't take a few hours to do any research about anything. But like going to a parent teacher meeting and calling out uh, the school board meeting. There we go. Calling out those people for being perverts or creepy people is like base level stuff because it's obvious that they are. I mean, there's a lot of creepy people entering teaching now. It's it's weird and not good, obviously. But that's base level stuff. The best thing you can do is take your kids out of school. And a lot of people say they can't do that, but a lot of people also spend so much money that, I mean, of course they can never do that. There was some article I saw a couple months ago where it was like a third of Americans who make over $250,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. So you're just wasting money on stuff you don't need, which of course you are. People want more clothes all the time. People want a nicer car, and they're willing to be in debt for all those things. People want to live in a house they can't afford, uh, which I guess that's another sign of a society without moral men is that you care about material possessions more than you do about being the best man you can be. Because who cares about having a bit more clothes? Doesn't matter to me. I mean, this shirt is my dad's shirt, and it's probably 15 years old or something. I have no idea. It's old, but who cares? It's still fine. There's no the fabric's fine. It's nice and clean. And who cares? It's a shirt. But people care so much about that stuff now. So it's ridiculous. And of course, when you spend that much money, there's no way you could take your kid out of school. No way. So, and of course, there's tons of other stuff. Like now, there's a lot more shootings, a lot more violence, a lot more violent people coming into the country illegally too. That's another thing, and people just allowing it to happen. I don't mean people in power allowing it to happen. I mean, if you live if you live on the border and you see people crossing over, I feel like you should do something about that. I would, cuz that would make me mad. That would make me very mad. So, but there's a ton of things, ton of different things. But if you guys see this live stream after it's up and posted as a video, let me know. Let me know what else you think uh, shows what a society without moral men is like. And like I said at the very beginning, you can just look around to see what that is. But just let me know what you guys think. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys have a great day